So today we're going to be talking about the new Pokemon that were revealed with the Pokemon Scarlet Violet Presents, including the DLC. So the new Pokemon, discussing what their types are going to be, probably what their stats are going to be, and theorizing about what Paradox, Entei, and Terrakion are even going to be like when it comes to them. So stay tuned, have fun, and don't forget, Meteor mash that subscribe button to stay up to date on what we're going to be doing on the channel. We got a whole bunch of things coming planned forward. Fixing gym leaders, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Coliseum, so many more Let's Plays, and finishing our Living Shiny decks as we finally get to starting on hunting Arceus. Leading off, we're actually going with Archaludon. We'll get into both Raging Bolt and Iron Crown in a little bit, but Archaludon's like the one I really am excited for. I really didn't think Duraludon was going to get an evolution, mostly because it already had fairly good stats across the board. It wasn't super standout, but it was definitely like a good stat line. And talking this over with It's Really Timmy B, we kind of came to the same, he sort of convinced me of, he thinks that the stat's going to be sort of reshuffled. I thought it was going to get me like a 20-point stat boost, and then stuff was getting reshuffled. But I think Timmy B is correct in that it's going to be a Scyther Scizor situation, where it's going to stay the same base stat total of 535, it's going to probably get some physical attack lopped off, probably some speed lopped off, and put into its defenses, maybe a little bit into a special attack. The main reason for this is that the little bio write-up for, well, Bridge Face, is it says it trades mobility for a more stable center of gravity. Sounds like you're losing some speed for a little bit more bulk. I also think it's going to be losing its access to the ability of Light Metal. Again, it's much bigger, it's much bulkier, and much sturdier in its own words. Which makes me think it's going to trade out the ability of Light Metal for possibly Lightning Rod or Volt Absorb. The reason for this is it says that it uses little tips of the bridge to collect ambient electricity so it can attack faster. Well, there's already an ability that basically does that. Lightning Rod. It also would kind of fit in with Duraludon's whole thing of Stalwart bypassing redirection. It doesn't give you immunity to being redirected, so if you attack a Pokemon that does have Lightning Rod, they will still get the Lightning Rod boost and be immune to Electric. It just stops you from having your move changed from targeting them. So, if you're targeting, say, a Gyarados with Thunderbolt and you have Stalwart, a Lightning Rod Raichu is not going to draw the Thunderbolt away, but if you attack the Raichu with the Thunderbolt, that will get absorbed. So you still get Gyarados, unless you deliberately don't target it, which would be weird. So, very likely, I see them getting rid of Light Metal. I think we'll probably get some speed shaved off, probably dropping it down maybe into the 50s, maybe even the 40s and 30s, because making it a good Trick Room sweeper, and then packing on the rest of that into physical defense and a little bit on the special defense. I think they will still keep Archaludon having very low special defense relative to its physical defense. Sort of like what happened with Tangrowth, where they kept Tangela's thing of the same stat shape, just bolstering everything, but again, still keeping the low special defense. They really did absolutely throttle its special defense when it came to Duraludon, so I think that they might pack on a little bit more. And honestly, I think Archaludon was actually designed back for Sword and Shield, but they were worried that it would have been a bit too powerful, or at least Duraludon would have been a bit too powerful, with the whole Dynamax thing, giving you a G-Max, or probably the G-Max was actually designed for Archaludon, but then after taking Archaludon out, they decided, okay, no, we'll just give the G-Max to Duraludon, and held off on giving it the evolution. And when Duraludon really didn't amount to too much, they was like, okay, well, we kind of want to help Duraludon, let's give it this thing, because it wasn't as broken as we thought it would be. Because remember, Body Press does utilize physical defense boosts, and it does get Stab Flash Cannon. So there's that. Also, there's really no reason it should have that high of a physical attack stat when it is not a physical attacker. It's a special attacker, it's not mixed. Most does use Body Press. So, you don't need to Assault Vest your Duraludon anymore. You can go a Violite, but a Violite also does not help Body Press. So, I likely see this thing is going to keep the same stat shape, lose a lot of speed. I think it's going to be a Scyther Scizor situation. A little more attack power, a little more defenses, a lot less speed. And its movement was seen using Electro Shot. This looks scary. The reason for it is it combines two existing 2-turn charge-up moves. Meteor Beam, Solar Beam. The reason being, it will increase your special attack by 1 stage when you use it, say it's charging up electricity, then it'll unleash attack on the second turn. Unless you're in rain, where it will just execute the turn immediately, still keeping your boost to your special attack. So So it's like the power herb, essentially, so long as rain is under effect. Meaning that's going to be a little scary. So you get a special attack boost into the attack on turn 1. Rain's definitely going to be pretty strong. So as for Raging Bolt, I'm pretty sure I think I know what this typing is going to be. I don't think it's going to be Electric Dragon, or at least I'm hoping it's not Electric Dragon. Instead, I think I figured it out. Buddy is thick, with at least 4 Ks. I mean, look at those legs. Buddy is swole goals. And I think it's actually going to be Electric Fighting. Now, I know that we've already got Electric Fighting as a Paradox Pokemon in Iron Hands, but that is a future Paradox. The other thing is, all 4 of the typings I actually think that this thing could actually be, Electric Fighting, Electric Dragon, Electric Rock, and Electric Ground, are all already taken up by Paradox Pokemon. Yes, Miraidon and Koraidon are technically Paradox Pokemon. They are the Winged King and Iron Serpent for their Paradox names. They technically are Paradoxes. And I don't think they would go... I would hope Electric Ground would actually be what it goes for, considering it's, named based on something that's called the Thunder Lizard. Every time something that big would step, you get a bit of an Earthquake every time. But already a past Paradox is Electric Ground, Sand Shocks. So I think it would be the lesser of 2 evils if they actually go with Electric Rock or Electric Fighting. The only reason I think it could be Electric Rock is actually when it is shown, it's shown like this craggy mountain, and Raikou does have a tendency to like hang out in the tops of mountains. So possibly a little thing there, but I think more likely it would be Electric Fighting. I'm hoping it's not Electric Dragon, because that would be awesome. I really don't want them to do Electric Dragon for it. I think it would be kind of lame if they just make all 3 of the beast insert type dragon. I think that'd be kind of lame. So I'm hoping it would be Electric Fighting, but I do see the potential for it to be Electric Dragon more possibly. But as for its stats, I'm pretty sure I think it would be a physical attacker. Again, Buddy is pretty swole. And we don't have a lot of physical electric types. Of the 3 we have, all of them are either Paradoxes, Legendaries, or Mythicals. And yes, this would add, again, another Paradox to that. But I think it's still something that really hasn't been done enough. When we already have a past Paradox that's an electric type that's a special attacker, I think physical electric would probably be the more likely. It's also worth noting, electric is actually one of the most common typings among Paradoxes. Iron Hands, Iron Thorns, Sandy Shocks, Miraidon, and now Raging Bolt. 5 electric type Paradoxes. So, typings we're going to have gotten repeated, actually of the original release of all Paradoxes, all 18 types save for normal was actually used. The reason for this likely is they are meant to cover every single typing, which is why I think they will go for some more diversity in terms of things, but possibly I don't see them doing, I possibly see them doing that for Raging Bolt. Plus again, the name Raging Bolt. I don't know, that seems pretty punchy punch fighty type for me. At least, that's what I think. But now we get to Iron Crown, and this is the actual one that I think a lot of people are kind of mistyping it for. A lot of people I know think it's going to be Steel Psychic, because, again, following the same thing of that, but I think it's not going to be that. The reason why, look at the highlights. Look at Iron Leaves. Highlights were red, sort of magenta reddish color. Look at Iron Crown. The ones around its hooves. Light blue. I think that's going to be Ice type. And the reason I think it's going to be Ice type is that is the blue that really does look very close to Ice type's blue. If it was dark, I think it would be water, as well as it actually is shown standing in water, as well as it looks like in some sort of snowy battle arena. What do you think? Probably going to be in a snow area, Steel Ice type. Not a bad typing. It does have a couple of weaknesses, the quad weakness to both fighting and fire, but it's actually quite good typing offensively. I mean, you get a lot of typing super effective damage. It's fairly good. It's all or nothing on defense. You either body stuff or you just get absolutely wrecked by it. So, again, possibly I see it can be pretty good. The other thing is, it would get boosted by electric terrain, and with a physical ice type stab that is further benefited by electric terrain, it'd be a pretty big threat for ground types. Dragon and grass, all things that actually do well against electric. So, very possibly, I see that happening. Could be wrong, but I really think that it would make sense that. The only other call that's kind of similar to that would be flying, but I don't see this thing being steel flying. It doesn't have, like, wingy flail. It has, like, a little wingy thing right on my chest, but so does Iron Leaves have that. And electric water, I don't think they do that. It'd be pretty cool if it was electric water, but I don't see that being as much the case. It would be pretty awesome, but don't think so. Now we get to the weird one, Diplin. Like a lot of people, I thought this was going to be a regional fake of Applin, but it is an evolution apparently. And I'm just confused on what the heck this thing's stat's going to be. because they already have a physical attacker in Flapple, a special attacker in Appleton, and it looks like this one is using a special attack with that sort of red apple spit attack, which makes me think maybe it's going to be a special attacker, but I think more so it'll be like maybe mixed defensive with very slow speed. So, it's a bit weird looking for what it's going to be, but I'm predicting not the same as what Appleton is stat-wise, but something broadly similar to it, with a much more support and disruption toolkit. So high physical defense, high special defense, low speed, but maybe something that drops enemy speed, maybe something that drops enemy attacking stats. I don't really know. It's very weird because we already had a physical and a special attacker variant of the Apple family. So is this going to be half an apple between both? What is it going to be? And I don't really think it's going to be too overly impressive. But now we get onto the loyal three, and inserting cut over to past maxes when you recorded that, because I know I'm not going to be able to say the names correctly here. Alright, so I'm recording these now because I'm 90% sure when I record them later, I'm not going to be able to pronounce the names correctly. Okidogi, Monkey Dory, Pheasantipity. I'm like 90% sure I got that last one wrong, especially. Yeah, those three. And probably for the last one, I'm just going to be cutting that one every single time it comes up. So for the first one, Okidogi, I think this thing is going to be poison fighting. The reason I think it's going to be poison fighting is that their ability for all three of them is actually Toxic Chain, which is basically like Poison Touch except for badly poisoned. So all contact moves have a chance of inflicting badly poisoned status condition. And it's shown with some, Jet Punch, Falcon Punch attack that kind of explodes in sort of red, orangish explosion thingy, which looks very similar to, fighting type move sort of color. Monkey Dory, it looks like it's doing some mind tricky things with, some swirly purple stuff around its head. I think possibly some psychic type stuff, which would be weird, because again, if Toxic Chain works by contact moves, correction, it is not contact moves, it is any move. So it doesn't actually matter if it's a contact move or not, meaning that, yeah, okay, well, it's a special attacker, supposedly. So again, psychic. I also think all of them are either going to be poison or dark. I can possibly see dark more than poison, because there have been a number of Pokemon that do get a move such as Poison Touch and Poison Point that actually are not poison themselves. But Psychic Poison would be of an interesting typing, but Psychic Dark would also be pretty fun for it. Dark fighting on Monkey Dory would... Dark fighting on Okidogi would actually be pretty interesting instead of poison. And they do look a bit more like dark types than actual poison. Again, the only poison thing is really the chain. But now we get to the last one, Pheasantipity. Yes, that one again, I can't say the name right. I think the thing's going to be a special attack with Glass Cannon. Monkey Dory, I think, is going to be on the slow side, and Okidogi also a bit on the slower side. Not as slow as Monkey Dory, but not super, super speedy. I think this one is going to be the Glass Cannon speedy special attacker. Really of the trio, so maybe like around 110, 120 base speed. Okidogi probably around maybe the 80s, maybe even 70s. And then Monkey Dory probably maybe in the 20s or 30s for speed stat-wise. And the Special Glass Cannon probably maybe 110, 120, maybe 130 for special attack, but I don't really... With an ability what they have, I don't think their offensive stats are going to be really anything beyond maybe 115. Maybe Monkey Dory's would be the highest because it is the slowest of them. Again, predicting it's about being the slowest. So probably would have that. And then we have Ogerpon. I think at this point it's pretty much confirmed Ogerpon is going to be a grass type because see the vine with the attack, all the leaves fluttering around when it goes into mask mode. Yeah, I think pretty much we're at this point, yeah, it's going to be a grass type. But I also don't think the terrestrial forms of both it and Terapagos are actually going to be really anything too special. I think this is going to be a lot like as one was when it came to Calyrex, where it gets some unique effect when terastallized, but I don't think it's going to be like Mega Evolution 2.0 where a lot of other Pokemon are getting terrestrial forms. I think this is linked exclusively to these two Pokemon, and the main reason for that is there's been no terrestrial forms for like anything else in the game normally. With G-Maxes, it made sense when they added them in with the DLCs for Olive Armor and Crown Tundra, but adding in a completely new mechanic that, oh yeah, the starters and a bunch of Pokemon are going to get these new terrestrial forms that already existed, I don't think would really make sense. And very likely, I think this is going to be tied to their abilities specifically. So they're going to have some ability that benefits from Terastallization, maybe some unique move that benefits from Terastallization. Very likely, it's not going to be, again, like Mega Evolution where it gets a stat boost. It's likely going to be something like it changes the way a move functions. A little bit like Judgment or Multi-Attack, or a Revelation Dance, Raging Bull, or Terra Blast. But again, that would be a bit of just, well, it's the same thing as these moves that already existed, maybe just a little bit of power boost, but again, it's a bit strange. And I don't know, it would be a bit strange. The only thing I could think of is maybe it gets some sort of benefit without Terastallizing, but then again, if they're showing some sort of Terastal benefit, they would want to encourage Terastallization, which would mean they wouldn't really give some benefit to being out of Terastallization. Which means I think that there's going to be an ability that is benefiting Terastallization. So maybe their default, maybe when Terastallized, they always get like double stat. I think it's going to be like adaptability where they change their base typing whenever they use an attack, only when Terastallized, because that would be pretty broken if they have adaptability for everything as is. That'd be a bit strong. Unless you Terastallize, which would mean you sacrifice something pretty big for a lot of flexibility. And now for Terapagos, I think Terapagos is actually going to be a Psychic type. The main reason for this is that, well, you're adding in, you know, possibly dark types, which again, I'm leaning more on the loyal 3 being dark types rather than poison types. Poison, I think, would be the most obvious one, but they all do very much look like dark types. And I think Terapagos is actually going to be a Psychic type. And having 3 dark type Pokemon when your legendary is probably going to be a Psychic type, at least if a powerful move is likely also going to be Psychic, would actually be a fairly decent balancing mechanic system where, yeah, they can kind of body it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of these things shape up. These are just my thoughts and initial analysis of things like that. And I could be completely off the mark. But I do have actually some thinkings, something thought line brainwaves for what Paradox Entei and Terrakion are going to be like. We've seen a Theropod and a Sauropod for the past Paradox beasts. I think it's likely we're going to get something akin to an Ankylosaurus or Stegosaurus when it comes to Paradox Entei, and make it more maybe physically based, again, sort of keep the same stats spread as, you know, Entei. But I think it's probably going to be Fire Steel or Fire Rock. The reason I think Fire Steel is, again, if it's going to be something like an Ankylosaurus or something like a Stegosaurus, Rock or Steel would actually make the most sense. You know, they're armored, they have big spikes. Possibly they'll make a Triceratops, but I don't really see a Triceratops really much. I see something more squat, something more stout, you know, with a lot of armoring covering it, which I think Ankylosaurus would actually make the most sense for that. Probably something along the lines of like Flame or Fire or Blaze, potentially. I don't think Blaze would probably is something like it gets maybe like volcano themed. But even then, the special attack, another reason why I think that's a lot of the better fire moves are actually special attacks. And if you have a fire type move that is benefited by Sun and benefited by Stab, you're gonna have some insane power like for things. Just do the back of the envelope calculation for if they add an 80 base power, even special or physical fire move that gets the, well, normal fire benefit of Sun with 50% damage boost, and then the added benefit of when in Sun gets an additional 50% boost like what Walking Wake's Hydro Steam has, then add in the same type attack bonus. You're dealing with a move that is about 100, that is actually, it's 180 base power when you don't have Stab. When you do have Stab factored in, that is 270 base power. If you're hitting a resistance, it is 135 base power. That is insane. Like, that is a resisted move that would be hitting as hard as a neutral Stab Earthquake user. Actually harder than that. A decent bit harder. So that would be a bit insane. Which is one of the reasons why maybe they would make its move on the weaker side, or they would just simply take out the Sun benefit of the move itself and only keep the regular fire benefit of the move. So it would definitely mitigate the power of it, reducing it to in Sun with Stab a 180 base power attack, which would still be pretty up there, but even resistant, that'd be about that would be 90 functional base power, which would definitely keep it from being insane, but it would still be a pretty hacking strong move. And again, Fire Steel, Fire Rock, I think are the most likely. I'm really hoping they don't go Fire Dragon. I really don't want them to do Electric, Fire, and Water Dragon for the Beast Paradoxes. I think that'd be pretty lame. And then for Terrakion, I really don't know what they would probably give typing for that thing. So we know it would be a Rock type. So what would kind of mesh with Rock that would be... I mean, I think possibly, I still think possibly that we could go Iron Crown as maybe a Fairy type, but that's me like really thinking, what could we stretch out to Steel Fairy? Again, I don't think they're doing that. That would be insane typing. I've already done that for some pretty insanely strong Pokemon. But I think Terrakion, possibly they would do. I honestly have no idea. Like, my basis for hypothesizing what the typings are going to be is based on the coloring of certain things, and we don't even know what this Paradox Terrakion would look like, so whatever the highlights are probably going to indicate it. But most likely, I think it would probably be something, maybe even something like dark, because I've got no clue. Like, it's... So I'm thinking of like, what type would make sense. Bug would not make sense. Grass would not make sense. Fire really wouldn't make sense. Water wouldn't make sense. Electric wouldn't make sense. Flying, I don't think flying would make sense. Rock flying would actually be quite interesting for it, though. Ground wouldn't really make sense. I don't think they would just do the same typing at its base. Rock flying. I don't think they do that. I don't think they do rock poison, which potentially could be rock poison. I don't know. But really, like, dark, maybe poison is kind of what's seeming to be the most reasonable. Even fairy, maybe ghost. Yeah, the Terrakion's got me stumped. Look, I think we could fairly easily peg Paradox Entei, but Terrakion is like, what is this can of worms? What is this can of wormhole? Those are kind of my predictions. Stat lines, I think that Entei's going to stay physical. Probably fast physical attacker with Raging Bolt probably being on the slow, bulky side. And Iron Crown, I think is going to be still fast. I think it's going to probably have a similar stat spread, maybe a little slower with more bulk focus than Iron Leaves. And then the Paradox Terrakion, I think, is probably going to also be pretty speedy. I think it's going to be on the speedier side with maybe a little less bulk and a little more aggressive power. Maybe probably around the similar stat spread as actually Iron Leaves. Could be wrong on that, but I'm looking forward to this. And I'm already really hyped for this DLC. This stuff has been kicking around my brain for the past, like, day or two. Like, I almost could not sleep. My brain was just all the ideas of what this thing could be, theorizing, hypothesizing, just thinking and prepping everything. But I'll see you guys next time. If you haven't done so, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. For more, we do all kinds of rambling nonsense. And don't forget to go check out our newest series, the Fixing Gym Leaders Teams. Very proud of it. Very, very, very helpful for that series. And that is everything wrapped up today. So before we actually head out, I'd like to give a special thanks to all of my channel members, Athena Bella, Sanders, Greeny Beanie, That Guy Jared, Dragon Dance 05, Ashketchum78, and Tag Our Metal Machines. Our Steel Commanders, Sneaky Fox 1000, Pyroclast, and King Braidstar. And our Lone Kaiju Crusher, Michaela Yema.